podcast at News for the Soul online at newsforthesoul.com. Now let's get back to the
Lighting
show.
looks good. Okay.
It's time for Conscious Parenting with Sandra Jones-Keller and family. Welcome back. Let's get you to reintroduce yourself, your show, and what's up for today.
Hello, Nicole. Thank you so much. My name is Sandra Jones-Keller, and I'm a conscious parenting coach and author. And this is my husband, Thomas.
Hello. Good day.
So we are broadcasting live on News for the Soul Radio and on my YouTube channel. So if you've ever wondered what we look like, you can go to Sandra Jones-Keller on YouTube, and we're broadcasting live. So you can post questions here. You can call in to 646-595-4274 or go to on the air at telus.net. We would love to answer your conscious parenting questions, wouldn't we, Thomas?
Yes, we would. Absolutely. Get them in early and fast because it will fill up quickly.
And so maybe you have questions about discipline or bedtime or tantrums. Whatever your question is, we will do our very best to answer it.
Right.
And so for the last couple of weeks, we have been, actually the last two shows, we've been talking about empty nesters. First, it was becoming empty nesters, and then it was we were empty nesters.
Right.
And what's interesting is that at all the shows we've done, usually I have a topic and we'll discuss it, and then we answer questions, and the questions are usually not related to the topic that
They could
we've
be
been talking.
anything at all.
But for the last couple of months, we've had more empty nester questions than ever. They've actually been on topic. So for you parents out there,
this could be your last show to get your empty nester questions answered.
No, you can always call in and ask any type of question, but you can go back to September and what comes before September? August, if you want to know more about empty nesters.
Okay.
So today I thought, okay, we've been talking about empty nesters. So today I want to talk about letting go. I think that's kind of like the natural progression from empty nesters to letting go. And what does that mean to you when I say letting go? Like letting go of our kids. What does that mean to you, Thomas?
Well, we took our daughter and dropped her off at college 2 months ago. And then we were just up in the area over the last week celebrating
my birthday.
Her birthday. And our daughter met up with us and we spent some days together. So letting go to me means staying aware and conscious of my own inner thoughts. And when I want to jump and help her out, fix a problem I perceive, do something, and stopping myself from doing that. She's definitely growing and creating her own life independent of us now. And for me, it's a pulling apart of the energies in a way, and then staying very conscious, as in the title of the show, Conscious Parenting, and not allowing myself to my emotional body to run over everything.
Okay, I guess that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, there's no
right. You know, it's so funny when you talk about not letting your emotional body. So she took the train in, and then when we were leaving, we dropped her off at the metro station.
That's right.
In DC. Actually, we didn't drop her off. Like we took one train to the airport, and she took her train to the Amtrak. That was actually harder for me than leaving her in school.
Why was that? You've
had
a few days to think about it.
I don't know. It was so emotional because when we left her in school, it was like, she was in this environment. We said goodbye. We knew where she was. But when we left her at the metro station, yes, I get she's an adult, but she will always be my baby. Okay. Let me just preface that.
That's what everybody says.
But when we left her at the metro station, it was like, oh my gosh. I mean, she is really an adult.
Yes.
She's an adult. She is going to the Amtrak station, and she's going back to her home right now.
Right.
And I don't know, it was.
And she was happy to go.
Yeah, she was happy to go.
Yeah.
And it was just a realization for me of, wow,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I was surprisingly emotional. It hit me like, and I'm just standing on the platform, not even wanting to go. And you took pictures of her, in the train waving and stuff. And I'm standing on the platform and I was like, oh my God, she's leaving.
Yeah.
And then we're getting on a plane and we're going. So
we spent 18 years together from when she was born and completely dependent on us to now reaching this stage where she's mostly independent of us.
Yeah.
And, at Agape in Los Angeles, it's been said for decades, our children come through us. What's the saying? Do you remember?
But they don't belong to us. They come through us, but they don't belong to us.
And no truer words can be said that would sum up this very experience we've been having for the last couple months of our daughter going away to school and designing a life of her own, creating a life of her own.
And so I want to emphasize to you parents, conscious parenting does not mean that you don't get emotional. It doesn't mean that you don't want to jump in or try to fix. It doesn't mean that you just let them fly the coop and they're gone, because they're your children. But we do come back to our spiritual principles.
Yeah.
And we do come back to supporting her in flying, because as parents, that's what we want. And that's what we raised her for. We raised her to be able to fly.
Right.
But it doesn't mean it's not painful.
I didn't think she would fly so damn quickly. But that's just my own emotional, still wanting to get juice out of that. And
well, how did you feel leaving her on the platform in DC?
I felt okay about it. I didn't feel great and I didn't feel bad. I felt like that's what she wanted to do. She was ready to go back to her school, and I probably felt ambivalent about it.
I felt bad.
But you felt bad?
I felt bad.
And I felt ambivalent about it. It's bittersweet, and every step of this has been bittersweet for me. I love it that she's flying, and I miss her, and I miss her being dependent on me at times, and all of that. So it's not conscious parenting, as my wife says, it's not about being masters of the universe. It's about, for me at this point, allowing myself to feel everything that I'm authentically feeling, to be present as possible in the moment and make nothing wrong, and not supposed to feel anyway.
I'm not supposed to act anyway either,
Right.
It's
just take it all as it comes.
Yeah. Like I said, I was surprised at how I think you were more emotional when we left her.
I definitely was.
School.
I couldn't even look at her. I was crying, and I had to walk to the back of the room.
Yeah. And I was more emotional standing on the platform this last time.
And it's an evolving story.
And the thing is, you never know when the emotion is going to hit you.
Right.
Sometimes I'm perfectly fine. Like I loved seeing her. I enjoyed being with her. And then I was shocked at just how sad I was to see her go. So, parents, just be with all of it. And then I thought, how lucky and fortunate I am to have this experience of being a parent, of being a mother, and loving in this way.
Yes.
And how special that is. And so instead of feeling bad that I was feeling bad, I started to kind of honor it, like, wow, I feel bad because I care so much. And she's so important to me. And I'm thankful that I got to have this experience. I mean, I didn't have her until I was 42.
Right.
So so I had a whole life, a couple lifetimes actually, before I had her. And so I was just thinking of how grateful I was to even have this experience, to have these emotions, to feel all that I was feeling.
Now let's talk more about the
I'm crying. Okay, go ahead.
Letting go process, because that's what we've been going through, is the letting go process.
The letting go. So the letting go for me, and you can say stepping back, letting go, whatever resonates for you, but it's about for the last 18 years, we homeschooled and we did our part. And so the letting go to me is giving her back to her higher self, trusting that she has it handled, her higher self has it handled. So we've never had to take Mecca to the doctor to urgent care for being sick.
Right.
I mean, she went to the chiropractor was our doctor. They do sacral occipital technique. So it's a special kind of practice where they adjust not only your bones, but your organs and stuff. So that was our doctor. Never had to take her to urgent care. She's been in school for 6 weeks, 7 weeks. She's been to the health center 3 times.
Yeah.
3 times. So the first time, she was sick and she finally went to the doctor and they said she was almost on the verge of a sinus infection. Then she developed a cough and then it was pneumonia. So I'm sitting here thinking, what the heck is going on? And do I need to go up there because, my kid is sick? And I didn't, though. Well, one, she didn't want us to.
Right.
But I had to step back and say, okay, she's handling it. So even though we never had to take her to the doctor, we were always able to work out whatever it was. And part of how she heals herself is she just sleeps. Like if she doesn't feel well, she would sleep for 17, 18 hours. But because she has a roommate and she's been in college, she doesn't have
classes
that. She has classes. So she hasn't had that time. So this thing just kept dragging on and dragging on. And as a parent, one, you hate to see your kid sick. And then I felt helpless and I couldn't really do the pressure points and the stuff that I would normally do. And I just had to keep blessing the situation, blessing it and trusting that the health center is what was needed to help her heal.
Right.
And the antibiotics is what was needed to help her heal.
Right.
So I had to let go of any judgments that I had about antibiotics and what they do to your body and all that, and trust that in this circumstance, it was perfect. So that was one way that I've been practicing letting go. Like, how did you feel? I mean, it was like her and this cough. I mean, it was
well, she had told us that everybody's having a cough in the school. And they're all freshmen coming in from all parts of the world and into a climate and allergen environment and nature there that they didn't experience wherever they came from.
And they're away from home.
And they're all away from home. And so they all have to adjust both physically to the allergens in the environment and physically, mentally, and spiritually to being around each other. And she had told us more than once that all the kids have a cough. So I'm not done.
Okay, I didn't
say
anything.
She was not, you were gasping. So she was not that concerned about it.
Right.
But it went on so long that it started tiring her out. And then she went into the school doctor office and got.
And she actually.
I'm not done yet.
Took herself. Okay.
And went into the school and got herself some antibiotics, and they did great. They only prescribed her enough to get her back healthy enough to where her body could take over and run correctly. And so they were great about it. And that's evidence that she is supported everywhere she goes because she manifested that. We didn't manifest it. We're hundreds of miles away. She manifested that herself. She took the initiative to go to the, what do they call it? Infirmary?
Health center.
Health center on the college campus. And so she was proactive in handling it after so long.
Can I talk
now? It's your turn.
Okay. And so
I wasn't too worried about it.
So when we talk about letting go, there's no one formula, there's no one way that it's going to look like. And each instance is different, but the letting go was watching how she was managing this and how she took the first time she went, like she didn't even tell us she was going to the health center.
That's right.
Like she was on her way out and she said, yeah, I just went to the health center. I was like, oh, she's like, yeah, I booked myself an appointment last night and I was there at 8:30 in the morning.
Right.
I was like, oh. And so she was taking responsibility for her health in the way that she thought was best.
Right.
And so I was very proud of her.
Yes.
You know, it's like
we have to trust our children.
We have to trust our children.
And trusting them means just that. And literally means trusting them because they're working out life now.
They're working out life.
And they're going to work it out with or without us. So might as well trust them and get on board and become very supportive. One
thing I liked when we went to the orientation, the parent orientation, they said, okay, these are emerging adults.
Right. That's right.
And I love that because they're not supposed to do everything right. And they really want them to expand, to take chances, to grow, to find out who they are. And so they kept emphasizing to us parents, it's like, step back, leave them alone, and get out of their business.
Sometimes involves going through pain.
Yes, it does, because we are, hundreds of miles away.
Yeah.
And we've just got to trust that what we instilled for the last 18 years is in there. And then she gets to use it and choose what's going to create a magnificent life for herself.
So say more about what you mean by when you say give her back to God.
Oh, gosh. And, what
does that mean?
So we all come in, and this is a spiritual show, so I can talk about this.
It's what
and if you didn't know it was a spiritual show, it does have elements of spirituality in it. So when I say give her back to God, so we are all born, we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And we all come in, we all have our higher self, we all have our guides, whether or not you ever acknowledge them, whether or not you're aware of them. So we're all like protected. You're never alone. Like even if you lock yourself in a closet, you still have your higher self and your guides and everyone with you. They
Absolutely.
may not they won't say anything to you until you ask for help. So when I say give her back to God or give her back to her higher self, it means that her higher self is always with her. Her guides are there only for her, to guide her, to lead her, to love her, to protect her.
Mm-hmm.
Like we can't be there.
Right.
And so like giving her back, like literally taking the reins and handing them over and saying, I trust that you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always easy, because she's our daughter, she's our only daughter, and we want to see her happy. We want to see her thrive. We want to love and protect her. And she's got her own life to live now. So that's what I mean by giving her back to God.
Okay, let's talk about another thing that happened.
What?
She called my wife first. She called my wife and
I want to show you something.
And turned on the video camera on the phone and showed her first, because I wasn't on the phone at the moment, the nose.
Her septum nose piercing.
Septum, which is the ring that goes in the septum of the nose.
Yeah. And it was like she never heard her mention that she wanted any type of nose piercing or anything like that.
Right.
So I guess she had mentioned it to her friend the night before, and her friend's like, oh, I'll take you.
Yeah.
So like a bunch of them went down. So she's like, turn on your camera. I want to show you something.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Did you feel cool, or were you just saying, oh, cool? Did you like it?
I thought it was cool. It was unexpected.
Yes,
it was unexpected because it wasn't like she ever mentioned it at any time. So it was unexpected. But no, my thing was, okay, honey, you've got allergies and you blow your nose a lot. So how is that going to work?
That's too practical.
And that's probably why she didn't say anything, because that would have been my question to her. Like, well, how is that going to work? But it's been 3 weeks now. It's healing fine. It looks great. It's cool. But we remember the woman that we did talk to in DC, and you took a picture of her daughter's
she had
piercings.
Not a piercing. It was
wasn't
like an earring post on each side.
Well, that's a piercing.
Okay, piercing.
Did it go through the nose?
No, it went in through each side nostril.
That's a piercing. So if it pierces the skin, it's a piercing. It
was a piercing. Went on each side, and it looked great. It's very tasteful.
And then the mom came over and kind of talked to us, and she was saying that, I keep trying to tell my daughter not to do this and not to do that, not to get a tattoo or not to get a, and she's like, and she just goes and, does it anyway. And I said, yeah, our daughter did, but it's like, is it really that big of a deal?
No, absolutely not.
She's 18. But the thing is, I did think she would be able to turn it up, because we did see one where you can turn it up. So like if you're ever going on an interview or you want to look conservative or something, you can flip it up and you can't see it, but hers doesn't.
Because of the shape in the nose,
I guess.
Pug nose, it doesn't flip up. So she didn't learn that until she had it in for a few weeks.
Okay. We are broadcasting live on News for the Soul Radio. How do they reach us, Thomas?
Well, you can email us. That's the best way, at on the air, all one word, on the air at telus.net. On the air at telus.net. Get your questions in now.
So this is the Conscious Parenting Show. And by the way, for those of you who are interested in getting more support or who would like to possibly work more closely with me, I'll share with you a little later what that can look like. So we've got a lot going on in the world in general. And you may need extra support on your conscious parenting journey. Reach out to me. I would love to be in touch with you. And as a matter of fact, on October 30th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm hosting a free webinar called From Conflict to Calm: 3 Holistic Steps to a Drama-Free Family Life with New Age Kids. And that is really to support you. I'm going to give you 3 tools that can immediately reduce power struggle, stress, and drama with these New Age kids. And I say New Age kids, they've been called indigo, they've been called crystal, they've been called rainbow, and there's probably even another name. But essentially, these are these wise old souls that have come here to assist with the ascension of the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And old parenting paradigms don't work on them. You've got a higher level of consciousness coming in. You've got these kids that are more insightful, more intuitive. They feel their connections. So trying to bring these old parenting paradigms into this new energy often causes unnecessary power struggles. So I'm going to talk to you and teach you how to immediately reduce those power struggles, stress, and anxiety. So it's a free webinar
and it's
on
even
October
more
30th.
Important now, as a parent, when you were growing up, how it was with your parents. Well, it's even more energized now. So
absolutely.
It's more important than ever, actually, to get a deeper understanding of each other.
Absolutely. And a lot of parents, complain about their kids are being difficult or they're not listening. And a lot of that is because there's a lack of connection and there's a lack of partnership. And a lot of parents are trying to bring these old parenting paradigms. You do as I say. Kids are to be quiet. Just all this old stuff that doesn't support a drama-free, nurturing family life. So that's why I am offering that free webinar. It's going to be live via Zoom on Wednesday, October 30th at 12 p.m. So call in with your conscious parenting questions, 646-595-4274, or on the air at telus.net. What are you pointing to?
To refresh the email thing.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
Just to stay up to date with that.
Let's see if we've had any questions come in. So we will be here for another half hour to support you on your conscious parenting journey.
So about the big issue that's kind of ongoing in college life and all these kids being put in together in space, her and roommates. And she went from having her own large room all of her life, 18 years every day, to now being in with a roommate in a little bit smaller room in an older college. And navigating that relationship has been challenging.
Yeah, and it got more challenging when the roommate got a boyfriend who always stayed over.
Right, exactly.
So not only...
That's when it really got challenging.
Yeah, so not only was it a roommate, but it was now 3 people in the room. Okay, so let's see. We have a question, so we will come back to that. We have a couple questions.
All right.
Can you read that?
Lillian in New Zealand. I'm glad you're speaking about this. It's hard to find help out there for this. Every time I think I'm finally okay, I'm hit with a whole new wave of sadness over disconnecting with my son, who was my everything for 22 years. Does this ever stop being this painful?
Lillian, I feel you.
I wish I had some idea how long it has been for you, Lillian. But let's just generalize it then.
Okay.
Does it ever? You start if you have something.
So does it ever stop being this painful? Lillian, I don't know, to be honest with you. We've been empty nesters for 2 months now, and it comes in waves. I mean, there are times when I'm cruising, I'm busy, I'm good, and then I'll think of something, I'll hear something, and this wave. And I don't know if you were here earlier where we separated at the train station, and it was just like I felt like I was being squeezed. But I will say that you had a life before your son, and you can have a life after your son, Lillian. I don't know if he's your only child. I mean, our daughter is our only child, so I get the attachment, just that love that you have. And we homeschooled, so our daughter was, here, and we did a lot of things as a family. So I don't think that it's supposed to be that painful all the time. Yeah. I think you want to appreciate and enjoy the time that you had, but you also want to have a fulfilling and rewarding life outside of being a mom.
And you want your son to see you. You want to be an example to your son, to see you thriving, yet still love him unquestionably, and every once in a while feel uniquely sad about him leaving. But I think we all want to be a living demonstration of how we can really be magnificent in life for our children. And that, I'll tell you what my friend said, whose only daughter has been gone for, let's say, 5 years now. She just got married. But he says it does get easier with time. And yet then new challenges come up because he was there with them 3 months ago in a different city. And he said he could see how the struggle she was going through in the relationship with her family could be solved, in his opinion, easily. But he kept his mouth shut because she needed to go through this experience her own way to work it out in life, to gain that strength to deal with life on her own. So one of his biggest struggles is to be able to keep his mouth shut. That's the bottom line. Because we just want to have our kids out of pain and back to as easy a life as possible. But that's not the way life is sometimes.
And Lillian, you say you think you're finally okay, and then it hits you with a whole new wave of sadness. And that's okay.
Yes,
that's exactly what I talked about. Like, I was fine, and then I'm standing at the platform, and it was like I was crying. I could barely even talk, and it hit. But you know what? It doesn't last as long as it used to.
Right.
So because I didn't try to resist it, I just let the emotion come in. And I was actually surprised at how intense it was, but it moved out. And so I got to see that I can be sad, I can experience the sadness, but I don't have to stay there.
Right.
And so that's what I want to say to you, Lillian. If it will just come up. So just let it come up, but let it go. You don't have to hold on to it.
Or push it away or try to resist it. And as my wife just said.
Yeah, because it will move through you. And like I said, I was surprised at how intense my emotion was. But then it moved through me. And by the time we were at the airport getting ready to get on our plane, I was fine.
Yeah.
And it was from this intense, like, oh my gosh, I can't talk. My body is feeling tight. And then it moved through me and we were at the airport. So yes, I think it will get painful. And no, it's not. It doesn't have to be all the time.
Right.
I think you want to start redirecting your energy and finding things that light you up, finding things that excite you, that bring passion and joy into your life. And then you'll have your attention on that. And then when the sadness comes, let it come, but let it go. You don't have to hold on to it.
And those are, for me, those are rich, unique, rich emotional moments. Like the first time we dropped our daughter off at college, I couldn't even say goodbye to her. I was crying.
Yeah.
I would cry so much. But that's it. Now, 2 months later, that's a unique, rich emotional experience I put away in the library of my life because I don't want to forget it completely, but I don't want to live in it as if 2 months ago is now.
Yeah. So Lillian, I hope that helps. I'll read the next one. Elizabeth in Vancouver. My entire motivation of everything I was doing was my kids, running a home business so I'd never have to leave them growing up. I now am having issues finding my drive to succeed as my why is no longer here. Any advice would be greatly appreciated.
Excellent.
I will start with that one.
Well, first off,
I said I was going to start. You just
I just want to caveat. Lillian is from New Zealand. Yeah. And I just want her to know that our daughter loves New Zealand and wants to go in there in an internship.
Oh, thank you, Lillian. Elizabeth, I get you because my whole business, my whole life was structured around homeschooling. We have one daughter. We decided before she was even born that we were going to homeschool. We didn't know what it was going to look like. We didn't know what it was going to do. And so I've done different things over the years, but my primary focus was homeschooling and was my daughter. And I realized a couple of years ago that she was going to be leaving. And it was going to be like a see ya, not even a thanks, right? It's like a see you because I'm going to go live my life, which is what we want. And so for me, what I started doing was really looking at what I wanted to create for myself, how I wanted to live the next chapter of my life. So we have a chapter before our kids. We have a chapter with our kids. And we want to have a dynamic chapter after our kids because our kids are really, maybe 18 to 25 years of your life, depending on how many kids you have. And so you don't want to spend these golden years miserable. And so what I started doing was just looking at what I like to do. We ended up joining Toastmasters earlier this year. I was like, I want to really start doing more public speaking. Would you like to join me, Thomas? He jumped in and he's actually done more speeches than I have. But we started doing Toastmasters. I started, exercising more, doing things that light me up and bring me excitement, traveling, looking at concerts or movies or things that we want to do. Because this is the next chapter, Elizabeth. And you don't want to spend your next chapter. You can't get this time back. And we're all getting older. So you don't want to spend this chapter being miserable because your kids are gone. Because really, they come through us, as we said earlier, and then we let them go so that they can be the contribution to the world that they've come here to be.
Right. Are you done?
I can talk. So go ahead. And then go ahead.
I just wanted to say that to Elizabeth, you mentioned in your text that your why is no longer here. Well, absolutely. Your why has gone off to school. So it's time for a new why and maybe even a new how. You may want to change your business or find different ventures. Like things can happen if we're conscious and aware of our lives that'll come across our path. I went to Toastmasters to support my wife. I ended up being more lit up energetically by it than she did. I have given 4 times as many speeches and became president of a club and organized an event just because I am so thrilled and loving this public speaking adventure, but I had no idea it was in there. I had no idea that was a seed in me until I supported her. So get out, try new things, reevaluate what you want to do, keep your business, drop your business, evolve your business into something else, but your why has changed.
Mm-hmm.
So get on board with a different why or a modified why, because it just has changed. And you don't want to be left at the train station
Right.
as the train of life goes off down the rails.
And, it goes back to what Thomas said earlier about, our kids come through us, but they don't belong to us.
But we sure think they do. No, it's so easy just to,
Yeah.
for 18 years.
And so I've started really just looking at that, looking at the level of appreciation that I have, that I got to experience, that this level of love and care for a person. But I'm also clear, Elizabeth, that I have a purpose too. And my purpose goes beyond me just being a mom. And so when you say that your why is no longer here, great. You come up with a new why. And if you don't know what it is, you start really simple. Each day you get up and you say, what is the most exciting thing for me in this moment? Is it going for a walk? Is it having a cup of coffee? Is it reading the newspaper? Is it calling a friend? And you just take it step by step by step. And as you're willing to follow your passion, and as you're willing to follow your excitement, more information will just start downloading. And as Thomas said, I asked him if he wanted to join Toastmasters, and he's like done way more speeches than I have, because it struck a chord with him.
So the universe is not going to leave you hanging with nothing. If you are paying attention to what comes across in your life, if you try new things, if you move around in your world a little bit more, you're going to discover a new passion, a new excitement. And it can be just a moment-to-moment thing, or it can be a thing that changes your life completely in all points in
Something
between.
Completely unexpected.
But the universe will never leave you standing in the dust.
Yes. So thank you, Elizabeth in Vancouver.
My turn.
And I hope you find your new why soon and start really living this next chapter of your life.
Absolutely. Thank you, Elizabeth. This one's from Kelly in New York. I feel like I've lost my way. The empty nesting is still pretty new for my husband and I, but I'm surprised at how devastated we both feel, and it's affecting our relationship moving forward. Not sure what we should be doing now.
You can start.
I would love to start.
Yeah.
Since this is a couple in a relationship. For myself and my wife, for my part in the relationship, I can say ours is evolving, and I don't know what's changing in it now. It's kind of in a not limbo, but of course it's different now. And I am more mindful than ever to be supportive in our household, to take care of things that I hadn't taken care of before, to be more loving openly to my wife, to think about, oh, I could be dating her, that kind of romantic idea, to pour some energy into what's going on in the present in front of me. My daughter's 1,000 miles away. My wife is right here. To be taking care more of that. And at the same time, giving her more room to pursue her own business, which she's deeply involved in now, and making sure that I'm not distracting from that. But when we do have our time together, that I'm actively, consciously pouring love into myself and her. So that's where I'm at with it right now.
So Kelly, you say you don't know what you should be doing now. Just start. So I don't know that I should say this, but I'm going to say this on the air. So when our daughter was leaving, no, actually she was leaving or going to leave, or she had left. I don't know. And we were like just bickering at each other. And I gave myself the freedom to say, do I want to be in this relationship still? I told you this, so.
Yes, I know.
And I gave myself the freedom to say, do I want to be in this relationship still? And I just, I was scared to ask, and I just let myself ask. And the answer was, hell yeah. And it was an amazing moment because we've been together 20 years. And so what that did for me was a level of responsibility, meaning I'm not with him because we have kids. I'm not with him because we're still raising our daughter. I am choosing to be with him because I want to spend my life with him.
You were not even with me because I was financially supporting the family because I retired that business and have been exploring other business ideas. So you were wide open.
I was wide open, yes. But the bottom line is when I said yes to myself, it gave me a new level of commitment to the relationship. Because it wasn't a have to. I don't have to be with him. It was like, I want to be with him. And then it was, since I want to be with him, who do I want to be in the relationship? So this is my partner. This is who I've chosen to be with. So I want to have fun. I want to enjoy our years together because we're both in our 60s. So we're not getting any younger. And so with that choice, it redirected my energy and my commitment. And so that's where I started for myself. And he was kind of annoyed when I told him that I asked the question to myself. He was actually shocked. But it was a great question for me because it was a conscious choice in this moment, at this time in my life, at this time in his life. And so I invite you, Kelly, to maybe entertain the question from there. And then if the answer is yes, you can really start leaning into creating the type of relationship that you want, that you dreamed of, that is not centered around the kids. And, we've had our hiccups and sometimes, we're going like this. And because there's no third or fourth person to distract you or to...
We had our hiccups before Mecca, our
daughter, during
Mecca, our daughter, and after
Mecca.
So the hiccup is nothing new.
Yeah. And so that was my experience. We knew our daughter was leaving and I made a conscious choice that I wanted to be with him and I wanted to be happy. So you talked about, you're surprised at how devastated you both feel and it's affecting our relationship moving forward. Talk about that, embrace it, love it, and then create something for yourself and your husband. Create something that's just about the two of you because it's just about the two of you now. And you can redirect all that energy and really have something magnificent. Like we started doing the Toastmasters. I started going back to the gym, but we don't go to the gym together most of the time because we're on different schedules. But, we go biking. We go out to eat. And sometimes it's like, I don't feel like cooking, so let's just go to Whole Foods and eat. But there's like more freedom that you actually have. It's like, we can do X, Y, and Z because it's just the two of us. Or we can eat X, Y, and Z because... So there's actually a lot of freedom that's available for you, Kelly, inside of it being just you and your husband. So I, just invite you to explore possibilities of how you can move out of the devastation and really embrace this part of your life because you know what? It's happening anyway. It's happening anyway. So how can you flourish in this chapter of your life?
And I just want to say to the one, everything that my wife said, I agree with. The last sentence that you wrote was not sure what we should be doing now. And in my opinion, you should be doing nothing. Not that you should do nothing, but you shouldn't judge what you should be doing now or not doing now. Just let it be what it is, and don't try to force it to be anything else. But keep your mind open, and your husband as well, to what sounds a little bit more exciting now. And then the next moment, and then do that. What's exciting now? Because you put in your years as a parent. Now add a little excitement to your life, and it doesn't have to be big things. It could be taking a nap is the most exciting thing I could do right now, and because I'm really looking forward to it. So that thing about doing what's exciting to you moment to moment taps into your passion, maybe even your unrealized passion. And the more you get used to that, the more deeper you'll see into your own life what you're really passionate about. It's a formula we've been living by for a while. Yeah.
And just allow, and also what I do when I have something going on, I just start blessing the situation. I bless the situation for the highest good of all concerned. And I bless it because I'm pouring energy of love into it. I am allowing the universe to bring miracles, because the universe conspires for our good if we're paying attention. So when there's something going on, I really just start blessing the situation so that I can get out of what I think the situation is and start seeing a higher purpose, which then lifts my vibration, which then creates like a miracle. Like, wow, look at what came out of this.
Right. But it's only available for you to witness because you have lifted your vibration consciously.
Yeah. So Kelly in New York, thank you for your question. Sending you lots of light, and I know that you can do this. Let's see if we have any other questions.
Okay.
Oh, more questions. Okay, you want to go with Janice?
Janice, also in New York. We're still a few ways away from dealing with empty nesting, but as I've seen how hard this seems to hit people, I'm wondering how we can prepare early on to make the transition easier.
Great question.
She loves talking about her preparation for our daughter leaving.
I do, because like I said, we homeschooled, and I was so my whole schedule was kind of constructed around her. I would even schedule my clients around when she was going to be at the ice rink or when I'd be available. So yes. So how I started preparing is I started looking at or asking, like, who am I outside of being a mom, and what do I like and what do I want to do? And so I started developing more relationships with friends that are outside of my daughter's mom's friends. Because because then your kids are gone, then you're left with nothing. So I started going out to lunch more, or even if they were my daughter's friends, like going out to lunch with just the mom and developing a relationship. So that's key, is to have people, doesn't have to be a lot, I just have a couple that you enjoy being with, that I can say, hey, you want to go lunch, or we schedule lunch or something. So developing relationships. I like to exercise. So finding an exercise routine. I like to bike, I like to swim, and I like to work out. We bike together. On the weekends, we will maybe go for a walk down at the beach. I like to do Toastmasters. And then I actually ended up joining a year-long business program that I had not planned on doing. So I started looking at, okay, my daughter's leaving. All of this time and energy has gone into her. And so how can I redirect that and find things that I enjoy?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Now, my wife and I had completely opposite strategies about when our daughter actually goes away, those moments. She got very involved with a new business school online, and I purposely made less to do on my calendars because I wanted to allow myself to feel and be present with everything that was going to go on, if anything, in our daughter going away internally. So I've just now 2 months been picking up my pace of being out in the world and creating things. But she did more, I did less. Same results, different strategies.
And it was important for me because I was kind of putting more energy into it. More of my life was centered, my scheduling was centered around her.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so I saw that and I'm like, okay. So I created things so that I wouldn't feel lost.
I don't mean to cut you short.
I know, but we have another question.
Well, we have a very important question.
Okay, hold on. Thank you, Janice in New York. Go ahead, Nia in California.
From Nia, I'm now 24 and I'm really worried about my mom. She's been sad and lonely since I moved out, and I'm wondering how I can help her and also how I can stop feeling guilty like I'm hurting her.
Okay, parents, read that again. Nia in California, read that again, parents.
I'm now 24 and I'm really worried about my mom. She's been sad and lonely since I moved out, and I'm wondering how I can help her and also how I can stop feeling guilty like I'm hurting her.
So parents, this is what you do not want. You don't want your children feeling guilty for living their lives.
You don't want to be sad and pathetic in your own existence after your child. You want to be an example to them, not
thriving,
not a warning flag.
Yeah. So Nia, you are 24 and you have a life to live and you have done nothing wrong. This is the cycle of life. You come in, your mom loves you because I love my daughter. We love our daughter. And then you go and you find your way. So I want you to stop feeling guilty because it's not your responsibility to make your mother happy.
Absolutely.
Okay, parents,
Number one.
I'm telling this to you. It is not our children's responsibility to make us happy. And you know what? It's not my husband's responsibility to make me happy. He can contribute to being a great partner, but ultimately I have to choose to be happy and to thrive and to do things that support my maturity and my growth and my ascension. That is my responsibility.
Oh, you stop?
Yeah, I mean, what is there more to say?
No, there's not. I think Nia is very insightful and a brilliant person, and I agree to not ever try not to ever feel guilty like you're hurting her, because in the metaphysical spiritual world, guilt is of the ego, and our egos are ultimately insane. We want to be guided by our higher self, not our ego. Two different voices. So if you don't give in to that feeling of guilt, the ego can't take you out. Keep listening to your higher self. You're a female. You naturally have great intuition. Stay with that. Live your life so that you're proud and thrilled with it. And if your mother wants to get on board and celebrate your life, that's absolutely fantastic.
And I also go back to what I was talking about earlier about blessing a situation. So I get that you don't like seeing your mother sad. And
nobody does.
What I would do whenever there's something that's disturbing to me, I bless this situation for the highest good of all concerned. I bless this situation for the highest good of all concerned. Lead the way. Open up. What am I to do here? And then listen to your intuition, honey.
Mm-hmm.
Because it will come. And you will find peace and solace, and you will find an answer. But the answer is not to stop living your life. I want to really emphasize that to you, sweetie. The answer is not to stop living your life. You want to be an example of thriving. And so you love your mother. You tell her that you love your mother, and you're there to support her, and that she did a great job raising such a magnificent daughter.
Yeah, we don't mean support her financially.
No.
Just love and support
her. And that, you look forward to her really finding her way.
Yes, absolutely.
But really start blessing the situation. So thank you, Nia in California. And I mentioned earlier that God, I don't think we have time.
What?
Oh, adding time for you to finish up questions. Thank you. So I mentioned earlier that I have an opportunity for those of you who would like more support. So Nia, maybe your mother would like some support of being an empty nester. So I invite you to contact me. I do one-on-one consultations. They're free. My Conscious Connection call, where we can sit down and look at your personal situation and map out a plan that can support you in moving through whatever you're moving through. And a lot of the calls tonight are about moving through being empty nesters, and we are right there with you. And so I invite you to go to my website, sandrajoneskeller.com, go to the Work With Me page, and you can book your free 30-minute consultation right there, because we want to be happy. We want to be thriving. We want to be an example for our kids. We don't want our kids sitting there worrying about us, nor do we want to scare them off. Because if they think that every time they call, we're going to be upset, they're going to stop calling. Mm-hmm. Because they want us to be happy and thriving just as we want them to be happy and thriving. So I invite you to book your one-on-one Conscious Connection call with me to see if it's a fit for us to work together, so that we can look at your own personal situation to see if I might be able to support you. So
beautifully said. Beautifully said.
So thank you, Thomas, again, for being my partner in life.
You're welcome.
And being my partner on this show. We've come to the end of our show. And so thank you so much for joining us.
When are we on again?
The Conscious Parenting Show is usually live the second Friday of each month at 6 p.m. Eastern, but we're on the third Friday because we were out of town. Please visit the News for the Soul archives. This is our 30th show, so you've got 29 other shows to support you on your conscious parenting journey. And even as empty nesters, you're still on a conscious parenting journey, because parenting never ends. Mm-hmm. I've got 3 books that are available on Amazon. And for more information about me, visit my website at sandrajoneskeller.com. And until next time, and Thomas is holding up my books for those of you that are on YouTube.
Whoops, I got my fingers over. Sandra Jones-Keller.com. And that's your YouTube channel name?
Oh, that's my website, or Sandra Jones-Keller, my YouTube. So thank you for joining us. And until next time, happy parenting.
Happy parenting.